We're starting a new series this weekend. It's not going to be as fun as that was just now. It's called Biker Shorts. And this is going to be a very practical sermon series. In fact, it's so practical that I've made it only 2 weeks because I don't think we can handle what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks too heavy. It's kind of like I like hot sauce. But if I go to Basil downtown or in Mount Pleasant, you guys ever been to Basil, eating Thai food at Basil? If you haven't ever been, you need to go. It'll bless your life. But I can't handle Thai hot. Can't handle it. Makes me sweat, makes me uncomfortable. Can't handle it. I can handle just a little bit of the hot, just a little bit of the hot. When I go to the chicken place, Zaxby's, I order the Wimpy sauce. Anybody else order the Wimpy sauce? And I own it. Well, this series isn't going to be wimpy, but we can only take it for 2 weeks because it is so strong. And so we're going to go Thai hot on this for just a little bit. We're going to get up in, as I used to say when I was in high school, it's probably not a saying anymore, is we're going to get up in your chili. And it's going to be over the next 2 weeks that either you will decide this is the kind of life I want to live, and I want these kind of relationships in my life, or you will continue to have surface relationships and you will continue to live a life that is of less meaning than it could be. And so that's the value add that I want to bring over the next 2 weeks, is that I believe if you will put all of these things into motion in your life, that your life will be of higher value than it is now. Anybody up for that? A little bit higher value in your life? 12 of you are, so that's good. I'm preaching to you. Jesus changed the world with 12 people. We'll change Berkeley County together. All right, here we go. How many of you have ever had a friend in your life that because of just a small statement that they made to you saved you a lot of grief? And it would have been one of these statements like this. Maybe it was this: hey, you're getting ready to go into a big meeting, and they come up, hey, fly's down. Your fly's down. Anybody ever gotten a save from somebody? How many of you ever gone through a whole day, realized your fly was down, and nobody loved you enough to tell you? How many of you have ever experienced that? Here's another statement that sometimes will save you a lot of grief, and that is, hey, you got a little something right here. You want to remove that. Others of you have been through whole meetings, got to the bathroom afterwards, looked in the mirror, and there's a big piece of lettuce right here on your tooth, and nobody cared enough about you to tell you that was there. But that saves you a lot of grief when they tell you that. Maybe for some of you it was this. It was just, hey, you want a mint? Now, some of you think, man, I got a lot of generous people in my life, people all the time giving me mints. They're just so nice. You know what they're saying is, bro, your breath curls our hair. You need to take a mint. That's what they're saying. That's a nice way of saying that. But they're helping you out. They're helping you out. And so they save you a lot of grief. Now, we've all been there. We've probably been on both sides of that equation. And if you're delivering the news, if you're the one giving that news, it's a little bit uncomfortable, just a little bit, because you don't want to be the one to be like, hey, your fly's down there, whatever. But it's not that uncomfortable. But if you're the one receiving the news, it is very uncomfortable to have someone point out something in your life that is wrong. It's very uncomfortable. But the deal is you are glad that you received it. There's a tension between, you're almost mad at the person for pointing out that you've got lettuce on your teeth, but there's a tension of, but I'm so glad that you pointed it out because I could have gone through the whole day with that. And so you battle this tension of having this people that speak into your life. And so what happens is you appreciate it because everyone needs someone in their life that can tell them, you don't look good in... That was weak. You don't look good in? There we go. Now, see, y'all are talking to me. So, you don't look good in, but you need somebody. Somebody who can just walk up to you and tell you, look, here's the deal. That doesn't look good on you. That's just not the way you should live your life. Now, many of you have heard that saying around here. A lot of you have. And you may think that just maybe is one of our core values we made up or something. But look, here's how Jesus would put that. Luke 17, verse 3. Be alert. If you see your friend going wrong, correct him. Be alert, Jesus says. Be looking out for one another. Have each other's back. If a good friend is going, hey, how can I help you? How can I help shape your life into being something better? Be alert. If you see a friend going wrong, don't ignore it. Don't just let them go down the wrong path. Don't just, well, I hope that works out for them. I hope somebody will tell them. Be the friend who goes and corrects them. Now, I know that even saying that for many of you, it makes you anxious. Psychologists would tell us that about 3% of the world is what they would call choleric, or that D, dominant personality. About 3% of us. Connie and I both happen to be cholerics. And so somehow we married each other, and we're doing great together. How you doing, by the way? And so we're doing good together, but we are 3% of the world. What that means is we don't mind a confrontation. It doesn't bother us. Doesn't bother us. And the fact of the matter is, though, because of that, 3% of us don't struggle with confrontation, but because of that, we can sometimes get into unhealthy confrontation. And so part of the reason why the rest of the world who struggles with confrontation, it makes you anxious. The fact that you would have to have a conversation with a friend that is tough creates hives that grow up your neck, and they kind of get ready. I mean, this anytime the boss even says, hey, can we catch some time together, you immediately think worst case scenario. You immediately think something's going wrong. The reason is because sometimes those of us who are more comfortable with confrontation have created unhealthy confrontation. But what I'm learning through life is that if you will have ongoing, consistent, honest conversations, it will lead to healthy confrontation. Honest conversations lead to healthy confrontation. What happens for a lot of us is we have dishonest conversations, and then because of that we have unhealthy confrontation. So we never really get to a place where we have someone in our lives who can help us walk through some of the difficult things that are like where we don't look good in biker shorts. And so we've got to have that. So over the next 2 weekends we're going to talk about how do you get that in your life, why is it so important to get that in your life, and how do you do that? How do you have these conversations in a biblical and God-honoring, Jesus-like way? But here's the next question. So we're talking about having these healthy conversations. So who gets to do this? Live in biker short relationship with you. I mean, who gets to be the one that points out the things in your life that, you know, where you're going wrong and you got to be corrected? Here's what I know. Here's what I know. And I'm going to get you to help me with this. There's a formula for who gets to do this, but I need some crowd participation. So right down the middle, right here, this way, I want y'all to go, yeah! Can y'all do that? Can everybody, right down the middle, right here, this side, when I point at you, I want you to give me a good, yeah! All right, 1, 2, 3. That was almost there. 1, 2, 3. All right, good, good. This side, from right down the middle, over here, y'all got a little bit harder, but y'all are going to be able to do this. I want y'all to give me a woo! All right, woo! Y'all get it? 1, 2, 3. Now, all of you, and no, keep going. Don't get distracted by my talking. Chew gum, same time, walk, all that. Okay, all right, here we go. All right, hold on. We started on the wrong rhythm. Got to have rhythm. It takes two to make a thing go right. Y'all got that? All right, so y'all are going to all join in with me when that comes up, all right? So here we go. Oh, sorry, that means everybody join in. I didn't give you the hand signal. I'm like a third base coach who hasn't coached yet. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Y'all still didn't get it. Anyway, y'all get the point. It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make a thing go right. That worked about as well as a Michigan snap to a punter right there is what that did. All right, so anyway, takes two. Takes two. Who gets to have these relationships? You got to have an agreement. You have to have an agreement with someone that you get to speak into my life. You got to have an agreement with someone that I'm going to speak into your life. It takes two. It takes two. There's something about the fact that I have agreed. I'm not going to like it, but we're going to be in that kind of relationship. We're going to be in a biker shorts type of relationship where you can speak in my life. Because here's what I know. There are people who do not have the right to tell you that you don't look good in biker shorts. There are people in your life that haven't earned that right. They just haven't earned it. Some of you may know, on occasion in the Team Wood, we will have 5 children. Sometimes we have 4, sometimes not as often we have 3. And just in case you're confused by that, because it can be confusing, it's not that we give some of ours away every now and then. or anything like that. We are foster parents, and so oftentimes our family will fluctuate some. Now, one of the beautiful things that I love about that, and that I love what my kids are learning through that, is that our home is often a beautiful kaleidoscope of color. And so we'll have all kinds of different color and ethnicity going on in our home at any one time, and it changes, and it's really developing in our children a true color blindness that I love. But what I learn is that because of that, and the fact that oftentimes we are coming in with 5 children, and oftentimes they don't look like they all should belong to us, it creates questions from people. And questions are okay, never feel like you can't ask questions, but also sometimes we'll kind of create a critique from people. And so, for instance, one time we were at the water park, and for some reason, and I can't figure out why this would have happened because I tried to avoid this, I had all 5 getting into the lazy river at one time. I think Connie had just stepped away for a moment, and so was coming right back in to greet us, or something was going on in the lazy river. And so we're getting settled into the lazy river. And I've got all 5 corralled around me. And like I said, at this time especially, it was a kaleidoscope of color. And so we're going through, and we kind of float up but beside this woman who, from the very time that we were getting close to her, I could see she's had this sour look on her face. Like, you ever see somebody staring at you, and you know, like, they don't realize that you know that they're staring at you and that you're creating a sour look on their face. But she's looking at me and giving me this sour look, and I'm just kind of wondering, you know, like, I mean, I'm trying to get in better shape, but I mean, really, is that worth that look or what? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. We get closer, and she goes, "Are all those children yours?" Like, no, well, I don't know this one. Like, I don't know this woman. Like, I've never met her before. Just a little courtesy lesson. That's not an appropriate question to ever ask anybody, just in case you were wondering. But are all these children yours? And I was like, well, yes and no. It's you know, it's complicated or whatever. But yes, yeah. I mean, they're all with me. They all belong to me. And she goes, huh. To each his own, I guess. And then she floats off. Now, that was a critique of our life. That was a critique of what we've got going on. And I don't know, maybe she thought that we had a mixed family. Maybe she thought that, and she didn't like that. Or maybe she thought that I had children from different baby mamas. I don't know. I don't know what she thought. But for some reason, she did not like what we had chosen to do with our family. Now, you know how long that bothered me? You know how long that bothered me? Like 1 second. And for that 1 second, I did imagine drowning her in the wave pool. But that was just for one second. That was just 1 second of that thought. That was all there was. And so, but here's the reason why. Because I thought, she doesn't know me. Like, we're not in any kind of relationship where she has the ability to critique my family, the choices that I made in my family. She has no idea what's really going on. And so she wasn't in a biker shorts relationship. And you know what? I wasn't. Now here's the other side of that coin. Because some of you would think, well, you should have set her straight. Well, you should have told her that she needs to get right and that she blah, blah, blah. But no, because I'm not in a biker shorts relationship with her either. I don't know, maybe she woke up on the wrong side of bed. I have no idea why she did that, but I just had to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I'm not going to sing it, but anyway. I just had to let it go. And I did. It didn't bother me at all. I kind of laughed at it after I told Connie about it. I said, this is funny. This lady said, to each his own. Like, I mean, hey, what's going on there? But you know why? Because she's not a part of that crowd. And there really are 3 different types of people. And differing degrees into which they get to speak into your life. And here's the problem that most of us struggle with. There's these 3 groups of people, and as we go down these groups of people, the closer you get to someone, the more they should be able to speak into your life. We invert that. We allow the crowd to destruct us in such a way that we never get to a place that we need to be with those who we can. In fact, after the first service, I had someone walk up to me and they said, thank you so much. And she was in tears. She said, I have allowed the crowd to define who I am. And in doing so, I'm not being who I need to be to the people that I need to be it to. And I thought, I told her, I said, that's a good word. I'm preaching that next service. Because that's what we do. We let the crowd the first level of people, really define who we are. And that is the first group of people. It's the crowd. It's the crowd. They don't know you. I mean, they kind of know of you and know of you, but they don't really know you. You know the difference. It's your Facebook friends. They don't really know you. Psychologists and sociologists would tell us that we can really, really, really know about 5 people. About 5 people. And those 5 people, whoever we choose those to be, have an incredible impact on our lives. That's kind of who we can be extremely real with about 5 people. About 80 people we can really kind of care for in our lives. We can kind of know what's going on with them. We can kind of keep in touch with them a little bit, and we can really care for them, about 80 people. Interestingly enough, the average size of a church in America is about 80 people. You know why? Because the pastor has tried to care for everybody. If the pastor can care for everybody, it'll never grow beyond about 80 people. That's why we have systems in place here to allow other people to help care for people, because we can expand our reach because of that. But about 80 people. So 5 people you can be really, really close to, about 80 people that you can kind of care for and can care for you. And so what happens is we get hundreds of Facebook friends. We have hundreds of Facebook friends who have hundreds of Facebook friends. And so all those people see our posts. We have public opinion out there because we let things, now everything is known by everyone. And so they know of us, and they have something to say about us or what we believe in, or they comment on something, and all of a sudden we are allowing the crowd to kind of speak into our lives. This is also just people you see at Walmart or in a wave pool that just kind of have a comment about your life, some kind of comment. It's even distant friends and family. Far too often, we allow someone's DNA to decide whether they speak into our lives rather than the friendship and the love that they have for us. And so just because someone is your aunt 3 times removed doesn't mean that they get to tell you how to raise your kids. Like, it doesn't mean it. They haven't done that. They know of you, but they don't know you. They don't know you. Just because someone's a distant friend of yours, they know of you, but they don't know of you. So it's the crowd. It's the crowd. And what is true about all of these people, and most of them are good people. They're not bad people. They're just people with something very distinct, which is an opinion. And they all have opinions. And how many of you know that all of us, not just them, but all of us, will share our opinion when we're allowed to? Like, we all will share our opinion at some time. And so if you allow them to, they will have a purpose and a plan for your life. But the truth is people have opinions about your life. God has a plan for your life. And so we've got to remember that there's a crowd out there that would like to tell us how we should live our lives. There is a crowd out there that would like to tell us, Connie and I, that this isn't the decision that they'd make in their life to live their family the way that we live our family. There's a crowd out there that would like to say, man, why you got to have a bus to drive around because you got so many kids? And there's a crowd out there that would say, why would you want to do that? And why would you want to take that on? There's a crowd that will tell you that you shouldn't be involved at church as much as you're involved. There's a crowd that will tell you you shouldn't stick with him. He's a loser. You shouldn't kind of walk through this pain with him. There's always a crowd. There's always a crowd. Crowd has opinions. But see, criticism that costs the critic nothing is useless. And the crowd has no cost to their criticism because they're not really in relationship with you. They don't really know you. They just know of you. And there should be a cost. There is a cost to be able to be in a Biker Shorts relationship with someone. The first cost is friendship. It's friendship. And I don't mean friends on Facebook. I mean real friendship. The kind of friendship that costs you time. The kind of friendship that is an investment. There's an investment in being my friend. You've got to walk through some stuff with me. You've got to be willing to give some time to be my friend. I've got to know we're in a real friendship. And when we're there, you have earned a right to speak into my life to a certain degree because of the amount of cost that it's cost you. But if it doesn't cost you anything, then its value is very, very low. The other cost is pain. Pain. It should hurt the critic to bring you news, bad news. It should hurt the critic to come to you and go, hey, I really need to speak to you on this issue. I mean, if you ever just see a little bit of a glee in someone's eyes that they get to bring you the bad news of something in your life that needs to be pointed out, even if it's true, it won't be received well because you're going, but they're enjoying this. Even if it's true, it won't help you because it will hurt more than it helps. But if they bring it with a sense of, hey, this is hurting them, they don't want to say this. They don't want to point this out in my life. They don't want to give course correction to my life. This is hurting them really more than it's going to hurt me. In fact, what you're doing as a friend when it does hurt, you're taking the hurt on yourself, and then you're delivering the news as softly as you can because you don't want to hurt your friend. You want to put it in the best packaging possible. It brings pain. So, see, it costs you friendship to be able to be in that type of relationship. It costs you pain to be in that kind of relationship. There should be a cost to it. And when there's not a cost to it, here's what you have to do. You have to know when the crowd is giving critique that doesn't cost them anything, what do you do with that information? You dismiss it. You dismiss it. I had one time, I was worshiping as I always do on the front row. And we were at the end of our service where we have this response time. If you're a first-time guest here, you don't know that yet, but we're going to do some more songs in just a little while, just a response time that we have. And I was standing on the front row, and I mean, I was getting after God. I mean, I was having a moment, and I feel kind of this tap on my side, which is uncomfortable, right, unless it's Connie. And I look down, and I realize it's not Connie. I can tell it's not Connie because she's on the other side of me. And someone taps me, and they hand me a note. And that's not something that never happens. That happens a little often. People come up and hand me a note or maybe a card or something just to say this is what God's been doing in my life. And so I grabbed the note and I thought, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And I just kind of stuck it in my back pocket for a second. And then I was like, no, I want to read it. I want to see what is going on. Because here's what I thought. I'd never seen this person before. In fact, they were a first-time guest that weekend. I'd never seen them before. Never really had any engagement with them. I thought, oh, man, this is going to be cool. This is going to be one of those stories of like, man, I was really moved today. God is working in my life. I can't wait to see what God does. Or maybe it's going to be I was invited by a friend. I get those a lot. I was invited by a friend. So glad I came. Just cool stories. And so I pulled out the note, and I opened it up. And when I did, it didn't say any of those things. It said, I see straight through you, and you're a fake. And I mean, I just sat there and read it for a moment. And I'll be honest. I mean, a lot of times I think, because we stand on a stage or because politicians stand on a stage or athletes stand on a stage or whatever it is, and they look like they're separated from human a little bit, there begins to be this, they're different than everybody else. But we're not in any way. And I'll be honest, I mean, it hurt. Like, it hurt. And just for a moment, it's like, man, we all think this. What have I done to create that? Like, what have I said? Because one of my goals in life is to be the same person on stage that I am off the stage. I want the people who know me best to know that this is who he really is. And so I kind of sat there. And then it was the Holy Spirit, and I believe this with all my heart, because it could have taken me to a place that wasn't healthy. And all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute. He doesn't know me. It's like, you don't know me. You know me. And so I told you I'm that 3% of the world that just cannot let things sit. And so I thought, we need to have a discussion. And he had kind of worked his way out. It wasn't here, but he had worked his way out of the door. And I thought, I need to find out what's going on. So I followed him outside. And I went outside, and everybody was still worshiping and everything. I said, hey. And he looked back, a little shocked. I said, hey, I want to talk to you about your love letter. I didn't say that, but anyway. I said, I want to talk to you about your note. I just want to talk to you about your note. And he just kind of kept walking. So I jogged just a little bit and went over there. And let me say, even before I describe this, I'm not talking about aggression. I wasn't mad. I really wasn't. I've never fought before in my entire life. Never been in a fight. Never been hit. Never hit anybody except in second grade by Trina Nelson, who knocked me cold. And that's the only time. I still don't know why Trina hit me. Trina, if you're watching online or anybody knows Trina, if I could find out why she hit me, I would appreciate that. It scars me. But I've never been in a fight. I don't fight. I've always been good with words. I don't need to fight. But I wanted to talk. I wanted to understand. So I went out and I said, hey, let's talk. And he said, no, you got my note. You got my note. And I shouldn't have said this, but I got to share with you because I think it's pretty awesome. I said, third graders pass notes. Real men talk. Let's talk. And so then he said, well, I just don't like the church. I said, that's cool. That's cool. You don't have to like the church. There's a lot of people that don't like the church. Everybody won't. This church isn't for everybody. That's cool. But you didn't say you didn't like the church. You said I was fake. And I just wanted to say this to you. You don't know me. Now, if you'd like to get to know me, we can. But you have no idea what you just said to me and how deeply that impacts me. But I'm going to brush that off because you don't know me. He said, I know you. I know everybody like you. I know all the preachers. And then he started talking about how he didn't like the music and why would we meet in an elementary school and just nonsense. And all of a sudden it clicked on me and I realized something. And this is what I think would be helpful for all of us to realize sometimes. When someone doesn't know us, their critique of us isn't about us. It's about them. And so we have to be able to dismiss it and say, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know me. And here's what I've learned. If Connie comes to me and tells me, hey, I'm seeing some stuff in you that's different at home than it is on stage, I need to take notice of that. Those are things I need to work on. We have that kind of relationship. I've got other friends. If they come to me and say, hey, my friend Danny right here on the front row, if he comes to me and says, hey, man, behind the stage, you're different than you are on stage. I'm going to take notice. But he didn't know me, so I had to dismiss it. Some of you are living in the shadow of a complaint that wasn't even about you. You've changed your life based on the critique of someone who didn't pay in friendship or pain to be able to give you that critique. You've got to assign the value of what it cost the critic. And if it costs the critic nothing, it should not be listened to. And so that's the first thing. It's that crowd. It's the crowd. And you all get them. It's the water cooler conversation that you know was about you at work. Somebody that's saying something. It's the Facebook comment that you know was meant to cut. It's the issue that you're passionate about, but you know somebody is putting down. And what you got to do is just dismiss those. You got to dismiss those because they're not there. If the feedback costs the critic something, it might be worth something. They might be giving you a gift if it costs them something instead of just cutting you down. But if it costs them nothing, then the value is the same. Move on. Move on when the crowd gets there. In fact, one of our rules here at Freedom is that if a note is anonymous, like if you just write an anonymous note and put it in the offering box, or you write an anonymous note and put it somewhere where we can get it, we don't read anonymous letters. Like we don't read anonymous notes. We don't read anonymous anything. If anonymous has something to say, then they'll put a name to it. And then we'll deal with it. Then we'll really have a conversation about it. We also, if someone comes up and says, someone said this about someone, we say, who's someone? Oh, I can't tell you. I don't want to betray their confidence. Then we say, well, then we don't want to know. You go tell someone to go talk to whoever, and someone and whoever can work it out, but we're not getting involved. So you can know that's just something. We put a value to the fact that you want to have an honest conversation, because honest conversations lead to healthy confrontation. So that's the first thing. You want to get to that place with the crowd. The wisdom writer of Proverbs tells it like this. He says, wounds from a sincere friend, that's that confrontation, healthy confrontation. It's a wound. So a wound from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. In other words, what you're asking someone is, don't be a part of the crowd that stabs me in the back. Be a part of a friendship that will stab me in the front. I can handle the wound. If it's coming from a friend. And it's even better than kisses from an enemy. And remember, everyone has a right to a different opinion. I tell people all the time, everybody has a right to a different opinion than me. You know why? Because every single one of you have the right to be wrong. I'm going to give that a few seconds. We'll give that just a circle around, see if you're really with me. No, everybody has a right to a different opinion. All of us have opinions. So our opinions are just something that we all live with. So that's the crowd. Second group of people is our community. Our community. Now, here's the thing. There's this new phrase everybody likes to use, a hater. Man, they're just hating on me. Drinking haterade. Everybody who disagrees with you is not a hater. There's a couple different options. One option is you could be wrong. Now, I know that blows some of you away, but you could be wrong. Turn to your neighbor and tell him, you could be wrong. Some of you have been waiting decades, months, weeks, years to be able to do that, and you just didn't take advantage of it. You could be wrong. The other opportunity is, or other option is, not only could you be wrong, you could share an equally right opinion. Do you know that there's some things that there's different ways to do them? There's not just one way to do everything. That there's some people just have different opinions. Somebody have different opinions. Some people say, this is the way you should do this. And somebody says, no, I don't think so. And it's not necessarily wrong. So it's just opinions. And so everybody that has a different opinion is not a hater. Discourse in our country died the day that we decided, if I disagree with you, it means I hate you. I disagree with some of you on a lot of things probably. You probably disagree with me on some things. That doesn't mean I have to hate you or that you have to hate me. You see, we can't even have honest conversation anymore. Because if you've got a D beside your voting name and I've got an R beside my voting name, then we have to hate each other. If you wear orange and I wear garnet, then we have to hate each other. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I saw yesterday that the Michigan punter is getting death threats. A college kid, 18 years old, he's getting death threats. People are telling him, you should end your life. You have nothing to live for on social media. Because we hate anybody that disagrees with us or disappoints us or brings any kind of pain into our life. And so all of a sudden, if someone comes to you in a biker shorts relationship and wants to give you some honest, open feedback, all of a sudden it's, I hate you. I see it on Facebook from people all the time. Hey, if you're not willing to bring happiness into my life, if you don't like my choices, hit the road, Jack. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I only want to surround myself with people who will give me praises. And here's the deal. If you live on the praises, then you will die when their critique comes. And there's some of you who are living right now on the false praises. People that you think agree with you because they just haven't chosen to disagree with you yet. And you're surrounding yourself with only people who think just like you. Here's the other thing I'm learning is you'll never grow. You'll never grow if there's not someone there to challenge you, someone there that can really help you. See, the trouble with most of us is that we would rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism. And so we've got to decide, I want my community to be able to speak into my life. I want my community to be able to pour into who I am. And I want to be saved by criticism rather than just poured onto by false praise. So we got to decide, do we want that in our lives? Do we want that kind of relationship? And here's where you build that. Where do you build community? You build community in small groups. We say it all the time. Rows or circles are better than rows. Rows are awesome. We should do rows. It's not a don't do rows thing. But circles, small groups of people is where you build true and real community. Because here's what you can do in a small group that you can't do in just the crowd. When you truly get in a community, you can be authentic. You can be authentic. You can be the person that you are all the time. Well, one of the things, some people say, man, you've got a really different preaching style. Like you got a really, you act differently than most preachers. One of my goals is that I will act the same here that I act at home. That I cut the same jokes at home. I'm the same corny person at home. I just want to be who I am. I say slightly inappropriate things at home every now and then, and I say slightly inappropriate things here every now and then. I just want to be the same person that I am. I want to be authentic. And so I want to build authenticity. I have within my staff a small group that we're authentic. Can be authentic with one another. They know who I really am. They know that I get mad sometimes. That I need to repent of it, but they know I get mad every now and then. They know what I struggle with. They know I'm not perfect at this. I am okay at this, and they know who I am. I don't try to be someone that I'm not. You got to have a group of people. It's not too late to get involved in a small group this semester. I mean, it's not too late to go out and say, hey, I need to get into a group of people where I'm sitting in a circle of people who are concerned about me becoming more like Jesus and become authentic with them. Some of you have put off being in a small group because you don't really want to be authentic with anyone. And if you want to grow, and if you want to be more like Jesus, And if you want to continue to take strides into being a better person and having a fuller life and being filled up and being meaningful, you will get into a small group. If you don't, you'll continue to let the crowd kind of push you along here and there, and that's what you'll do. So you need to check out a small group. But then there's another level. You can be authentic with many. Authentic with many. But you're transparent with a few. And that's your crew. Everybody needs a group of people that they are completely transparent with. Your secret is only as dangerous as how few people know about it. Like if you're the only one who knows your secrets, if you everything is, hey, everybody I'm kind of fake to just a little bit, then your secrets get very dangerous. In fact, if you're the only one who knows what you struggle with and are truly transparent with, it's a spiral that's going to begin to happen in your life. Because eventually it will catch up with you. And so we got to have that crew. Who are the people that we are completely transparent with? We talked about earlier that there's 5 people, at the most, 5 people who can really, really know you. I mean, really, really understand you. They know how you tick and why you tick that way, and they're okay with it. Here's what transparency is. Transparency is when I know I can share this with you, and you're not going anywhere. I know I can share this with you, and you're not going to be offended by it. I know I can share this with you, and you're going to go, okay, let's work through this. Let me give you feedback, you give me feedback, but we're in this together. So you're authentic with many, but you're transparent with this people who can look at you and say, you don't look good in biker shorts. Like there's an area of your life that it needs to be pointed out. And see, critique is sometimes painful, but it is similar to the pain that we have in our bodies. It's pointing out that something's wrong. Something needs to be addressed. We need to be talked about. And we have a few people that are willing to come into our lives and say, man, I want you to be more like Jesus. This is more painful for me than it is for you, but I want us to be in this together. So what do we do? What do we do? We ignore the crowd. That out of this sermon, that may be one of the most practical things that you'll hear. You ignore the crowd. Some of you live your life for the crowd, public opinion. And if you're doing anything of significance in your life, the crowd is not going to agree. It's just not going to. So you gotta walk through that going, it's all right. I'm gonna disappoint some people. Some people aren't gonna know my true motives. I'm gonna ignore the crowd. It's a discipline that'll change your life. You've got to be authentic with your community about your struggles, that you're real. You don't have to put on fake airs around that community. You just kind of go, this is who I am. I'm working. Some of this stuff I need to work on, but this is who I am. And then you got to have a crew. 1 or 2, 3 people, just a crew. They know me. I can call them anytime and do anything in the world for me, and I'll do anything in the world for them. And they take me exactly as I am, and they know but they don't want me to stay that way. They're going to help me get better. Who's your crew? Are you letting the crowd drive you? Have you taken the steps to be authentic with anybody? And are you letting the crew stir you up? I love this verse, Hebrews 10:24. He says, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. Here's why I like this. First thing is, let us think of ways. This should be the posture of a Christ follower. We ought to be thinking of ways. How can I stir them up? How can I encourage them? We ought to be thinking of ways. Let's think of ways to motivate, not to discourage, not to hurt, not to point out fault, but to motivate. And to motivate them to do what? To acts of love and good works. The translation here is sort of like, let us be concerned. Let's be concerned. And then the translation of some would say, to stir one another up. Let us be concerned enough to stir one another. It's the idea of stimulating and waking up. It's like a jolt It's like a jolt. So here's what it's saying. Let us be concerned enough to have a jolting, kick in the pants conversation with someone we love, so that they will do acts of love and so that they will do amazingly good works and be more like Jesus. So here's the deal. Who's that in your life? And who do you do that for? Or do you let the idea of being afraid of confrontation, oh, that's just not my personality, not allow you? What's happening is you're allowing your perceived personality to steal the blessing that God wants you to be in someone's life. You were supposed to have that conversation. You were supposed to sit down with that person, but you didn't do it, and you let fear drive away what could have been an incredible moment for that person. And now they're not better when they could have been better. And we need to own that responsibility. And the only way this happens is through crucial and often confrontational conversations. So how do you do that? How do you have crucial conversations that are confrontational and they're biblical and people come out of them feeling better? How do you do that? See you next week. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at the Bible and what it has to say. But how do you do that? Because it all sounds good until we unleash who we are into the conversation, and then all of a sudden we blow up. But that's not how it's supposed to be. It's a biblical way to do it. But for today, here's what I think. Some of you just need to own this whole idea of that you play ultimately to an audience of one. There's things that God has called you to. There's ways that He's called you to live. There's things that you're doing that you know are meaningful to the kingdom of God, and other people have critique of it, and you just need to ignore the crowd. Ignore the crowd. Others of you have taken that to the unhealthiness of you ignore everybody. And maybe today it's just a simple, obedient act of going, when I leave this service, I'm going to go find out more about small groups. I'm going to get engaged in a community that has a like-minded attitude towards Christ, and they're going to stir me up and jolt me to better things. And then for others of you, you're ready to take that third step. And maybe this week just holds a conversation for you to go, hey, you want to be in that kind of relationship? It takes two. So let's agree. There's an agreement between us. So we're gonna pour into each other. We're gonna talk to one another about things. And here's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna find out next week how we can do that. But we're gonna be in that kind of relationship together. And just repent of the fact that we've not been who we need to be. So let's take our time of response. I love our time of response at Freedom. It's where we just take some time to say, well, what is God saying to me? And what am I going to do about it? And I think all of us have something to do about what's happening in our hearts and our lives today. Maybe you want to go to the cross, just repent. Maybe for some of you, it's just, hey, I need a relationship with God. Until I begin to live out that relationship with God, I can't go to the next level. And you just need to take the card that's in your seat and check, I've asked Jesus to save me today. We'd love to help you walk through that process as well. Maybe you want to go to the cross and repent. You're a Christ follower, but you just haven't been living these out in your life, these characteristics. For others, we'll take communion, remembering that it's the body and the blood of Jesus that He said, do this as often as you gather to remember me. That we'll take that as we remember the sacrifice He made so that we can live in this unbelievable life that He's given us. We give our tithes and our offerings because it is God's generosity to us that we model back to Him in worship as we give to support and enabling us to be the church that we need to be to our county and our community. And then we light candles, and for you, the candle today just maybe, you know what, I'm going to live this lifestyle. I'm going to get some real, authentic relationships in my life and even a few transparent relationships in my life. I'm going to live this lifestyle. With light a candle saying, this is a light today, signifying the light that I'm going to bring into my life through this statement. And then we'll sing and we will worship. We'll engage so that it will empower our experience as we worship together. God, thank you for our time. Thank you for all that you've done. And we worship you, God. We thank you. So Jesus, come and be with us now as we experience you. In Jesus' name.